Hello, I'm Joe Ferguson. This is my studio in Weston. I've been doing sculpture for 60 years or so, and if you'll follow me, we'll go inside. I'd like to show you some small models of sculpture. Follow me. I did a lot of commissioned work in stained glass for churches and businesses and private homes. So I've been working with the colored glass for quite a while. And then I said to myself, for some reason, that I wanted to do sculpture in the landscape that was in a pure form alone. And I'd gone to a junkyard in Waltham, and at the time, one of the fellows brought in a truckload of aluminum, big sheets of aluminum. So I asked the manager to just carry it on over to my house. And that was the beginning of a lot of these aluminum sculptures. But to begin with, you need a model. In the beginning, I tried to make sculptures without a model, and it was difficult and presented lots of problems. So I started making these little models, and they're 1 inch to the foot, so I could take dimensions off these models. They're a little beat up from being used, but this is a series of some of the ones. Here we are with Genesis. It's a familiar theme to sculptors, and it's hard to imagine something like this coming out of the small model, the scale model, but it's fairly accurate to that model, and that's always a thrill in a way, because it is a bit of a challenge. I wanted the sense of it growing out of the ground and having a stalk like a plant. It's a form in space. I always get back to that, form in space, and truly, that's what it is. A lot of the times, the aesthetic of the sculpture comes out of the necessity for it to be strong and to stand up. All natural things have a natural structure that enables it to withstand nature, to stand and not blow over. Plants have this. Everything in nature has some sort of a structure that is going to make it stand up and do what it should do. All the joints are welded and then ground down, and then the outside finish is done with a 3M rotating pad that gives a kind of scratches the surface and gives a kind of a diffused light to it, and that once that's finished, that's the finish of it. It does oxidize over a period of time, but even though it does do that, it still reflects the brightness of the aluminum. This is my sculpture, Duck. I had no trouble finding a name for this one. It was back in 1965, and I was still learning how to weld, and I also was obsessed with the idea of imposing my idea on my sculptures. Not that I wanted to make a duck, but I wanted to make a form that was somewhere between a mechanical device and an animal of some sort. And so it turned out to be a duck. So there's the duck's egg. This is sort of his body, this is sort of his wing, and his head up there. And he has a big chunk of clear glass. You know, ducks are very intelligent, and they receive their intelligence from the light. And so I was capturing the light in the head of the duck. This one is Zeus, and the idea of Zeus here is sort of a god-like figure that you enter in, and you're about that high, 6 inches high, and you're in the presence of a god. I am Joe Ferguson, and I'm in the presence of a god. And gods are like human beings. They can be mean and vengeful. That's why they have that sacrificial altar ready to go. Or they can be benevolent and lovely. I don't normally make scary sculpture, but that one was it. This is Counterpoint down at the Art Center in Weston. Counterpoint was very simple. To form it, I would cut a piece like this of the aluminum and cut a piece underneath it, and then just tack it with the welder, tack it along there. If it isn't right, with only tacks holding it together, I can break it and saw a different form onto it. Try to think of yourself as crawling inside of it as a child would, and appreciate the dynamic forms that can be achieved by just simply bending metal. Because all of this, here we have a three-dimensional form, but it all starts out with flat metal. The first sculpture I did, the Yellow Submarine, I thought I should do that without making a model. I thought I should work directly and that it spontaneously. The problem with that was that if I had to change anything, it meant a week or so of taking it apart and rebuilding it and not knowing what to do. So then I went to making scale models of all the work that I do after that. This one is called Chromacopter, and it uses also something I learned from Yellow Submarine, was not to use just bare metal that has to be maintained and painted. With Chromacopter I use stainless steel tubing, and so it's eternal and it requires very little maintenance. These are large sculptures, so I made this so it can be taken apart, and one of the parts is I rearranged several times. I had planned to make a twirly thing that would twirl in the wind, but of course you really run out of time and energy in sculptures, and I didn't carry that over to the finished sculpture. I always have children in mind with these sculptures because that's the first experience they have with forms in the landscape. I've always been interested in architecture. Probably I would have gone into architecture if I'd had a better background in mathematics, which I didn't have. I went to Turkey some years back and saw lots of solar panels on the beautiful roofs there, and they were all bleeding rust and looking ugly. So I came back and I thought maybe I should design a solar panel that was part of the architecture. And this is the result. That would be the solar panel in back. This would be the main bedroom and the balcony, and then an inner court, and then some roofing that would reflect the light back up onto the solar panels. This would be the result. Sculpture is hard work. You really do have to cut out the forms, you have to make the model, you have to weld it all together, you have to figure a way to make it portable so it can be taken apart. You know, when I look at these things now, I really am quite thrilled. Art is like that. Gives you a thrill once in a while.